Can you imagine waking up to police sirens blaring in your driveway, all because of an 8-pound puppy who can't even climb stairs? That's exactly what happened to me, standing bleary-eyed in my pajamas, staring at 3 cop cars parked outside my new home at 7:30 a.m. My wife, Lisa, clutched our 10-week-old golden retriever, Max, to her chest, while our 6-year-old daughter, Chloe, peeked out from behind her, eyes wide with fear. Across the street, our neighbor, Helen Baxter, stood in her pristine yard, floral robe cinched tight, arms crossed, and a smug grin plastered on her face. "That's them, officers!" she bellowed, pointing at us like she just caught Bonnie and Clyde. "That's the vicious beast I called about." The cops approached, hands twitching near their belts, only to freeze when they saw Max yawn a tiny, squeaky yawn that could have melted a glacier. This, folks, was the day our puppy took down the neighborhood tyrant. We'd only been in Meadow View Heights for a week, chasing the dream of a perfect home, good schools, safe streets, and a big backyard for Max, the puppy Chloe had saved up for by doing chores for 3 years. The house was everything we'd hoped for, even if it came with HOA fees and a rulebook thicker than a phone directory. We figured we could handle it. That is, until we met Helen Baxter, HOA president and self-proclaimed queen of the cul-de-sac. Our first run-in was the day after we moved in. I was unloading boxes when Helen stormed over, clutching a binder labeled "Saw Meadow View Heights HOA Regulations Saw." "No. Welcome to the neighborhood." Or even a smile, just a curt, "You'll need to study this. I've highlighted the rules new people usually break." Every page glowed yellow. I thanked her, biting my tongue, but the warning signs were flashing. That night, when we took Max out to pee, I caught Helen at her window, snapping photos of us like a private eye. She didn't even flinch when I stared back, just kept clicking away, shameless. The next morning, an email from the HOA hit my inbox. "Violation, unregistered pet." Apparently, we had to register Max within 48 hours of moving in to us, since no one mentioned it at closing. I apologized, sent in Max's vet records, and thought that'd be the end of it. Boy, was I wrong. Helen took it as an invitation to crank her crusade up to 11. She started stalking Max's every move, notepad in hand, jotting down every time he barked, which, being a puppy, was often and always adorable, like when he'd yip at a fluttering leaf or his own reflection. One evening, I caught her leaning over our fence, snapping pictures of our backyard while we ate dinner on the patio. "What are you doing?" I asked, trying to keep my cool. "Documenting health and safety violations," she snapped, her voice dripping with ice. By the end of the week, we'd racked up 3 more violation notices, each more ridiculous than the last. Excessive animal noise, for Max's playful yips. Unsupervised pet roaming, when he was leashed in our yard, and animal waste not properly disposed of. A flat-out lie, since Lisa and I always carried poop bags. Each notice came with a fine, which I fought with photos proving we'd done nothing wrong. At the weekend HOA meeting, I showed up to clear things up, only to watch Helen deliver a 5-minute speech about irresponsible pet owners endangering our community. Her eyes locked on me like lasers. A few neighbors rolled their eyes, and one board member looked like he wanted to crawl under the table, but no one challenged her. After the meeting, an older guy named George pulled me aside. "Don't take it personal, kid," he whispered. "Helen picks on all the new folks. She'll move on soon." Spoiler, she didn't. Helen's obsession with Max only got worse. She filed daily complaints, each more unhinged. According to her, our puppy, who still tripped over his own ears, was displaying aggressive behavior or consistent with dangerous animals, and posing a threat to children and small adults. The HOA board, spooked by the word liability, started sending certified letters demanding we address Max's behavior oral issues. I tried reasoning with Helen, showing her videos of Max gently playing with Chloe, even offering to let her meet him. She recoiled like I'd suggested she hug a rattlesnake. "I know what I saw," she hissed. "That dog's a menace, and as HOA president, It's my duty to protect this community. If you won't act, I will. I didn't know what act meant until those police lights flooded our Levying room. Helen's 911 call claimed Max had charged her aggressively during her morning walk, nearly killing her. As the lead officer read her report, I couldn't help but laugh, which probably wasn't smart, but come on, Max weighed 7 pounds and wobbled when he ran. Officer, I said, swallowing my grin, Max can't charge anyone. He still hasn't figured out how to walk straight. I invited them in to meet the beast. Max, thrilled by the company, flopped onto his back, begging for belly rubs, his tail thumping like a metronome. The cops exchanged looks, clearly realizing this was a wild goose chase. But one officer, sticking to protocol, said they had to take the complaint seriously and might need animal control to evaluate Max. My stomach dropped. Chloe overheard and burst into tears, wrapping her arms around Max like she'd never let go. Then, a voice cut through the chaos. That won't be necessary. It was George standing at our open door. I was watering my roses when this so-called attack happened. Max never went near Helen. He was leashed in his yard with the little girl the whole time. He wasn't alone. Neighbors had started gathering on our lawn, drawn by the flashing lights, and they were done staying quiet. Mrs. Larson from down the street piped up. Helen's been harassing this family since they got here. We've all seen it. Dr. Patel, a vet who lived 2 houses over, vouched for Max, saying he showed 0 signs of aggression. The crowd grew, phones out, recording everything. Helen's smug grin faded as she realized the tide was turning. Then came the knockout punch. A guy I hadn't met, Josh, stepped forward, holding his phone. I've got proof, he said. His doorbell camera had caught the whole incident. The video showed Helen walking past our house, Max in our yard with Chloe, wagging his tail and barking playfully. Helen veered off her path, marched up to our mailbox, glared at Max, then scurried away. Max never got within 10 feet of her. The lead officer watched the clip, his jaw tightening. He turned to Helen. Ma'am, did you file a false police report? Helen's face went from red to ghostly white. She stammered about, feeling threatened, and big dogs start small. But it was over. The officer read her rights as his partner led her to a patrol car. You'll hear from my lawyer, she shrieked, citing some HOA bylaw. Nobody cared. By noon, Josh's video was all over the neighborhood's social media, then picked up by local news. Headlines roasted Helen. HOA boss calls cops on puppy, gets cuffed instead. And suburban tyrant busted for lying about golden retriever. That night, the HOA board held an emergency meeting, which turned into a full-on rebellion. Neighbors I'd never met apologized for not stepping in sooner. She's been like this for years, one longtime resident said. Using the HOA to bully new families, especially ones with kids or pets. Nobody stood up to her because she'd make your life hell. But this was too far. The board voted unanimously to boot Helen as president, and slapped her with a due law $5,000 fine for harassment, the same amount she tried to fine us. When the vote passed, Helen leapt up, screaming about rules and procedures. The new acting president just banged the gavel and said, "Meeting adjourned." Helen's downfall didn't stop there. 2 days later, she was charged with filing a false police report, a misdemeanor with up to 6 months in jail and a due law $1,000 fine. Her job at a local real estate office suspended her without pay. When the story hit the news, complete with a photo of Max in a bow tie for a press conference, the neighborhood kids through the internet went wild. Helen got 100 hours of community service at an animal shelter, a due law $750 fine, and mandatory anger management classes. The look on her face in coarse shock morphing into dread as the judge laid out her punishment was something else. Max, meanwhile, became a local legend, proof that even the smallest pup can take down a giant.